my phone. He's coloring the map.
Chairman has asked that we reconvene our meeting. We are still on item 5, dealing with the draft, item 6, I'm sorry, dealing with the draft of DRPT budget, and I believe we are on slide page 60, is that correct?
Yes.
And so Mr. Pittard, would you like to continue?
Sure, I appreciate it. This will be a real quick presentation on the budget document that we're presenting to y'all for your approval at the June meeting. It should have gone out late last week, I believe. Y'all got a copy of it. But anyway, just real quick, I just want to explain the budget document versus a 6-year program. And what the budget document is, what we actually anticipate expenditures for in fiscal year 2018 versus in the 6-year improvement plan, it's allocations of resources. So, and not necessarily timing. Part of the 6-year program is we try to get the timing of cash outlays, but a lot of our project partners require having the funding allocated before they proceed with the project. Another difference is we have federal funds that y'all as a board will allocate, but then we allocate them to our transit grantees, and then they will apply directly to the Federal Transit Administration, and they will draw those funds down and spend them themselves. So that's not included in the budget, but it is included in the 6-year improvement plan. And this slide, it shows, basically it reconciles the 6-year improvement plan to the budget document, and it's showing what I just described and putting numbers to it. So moving along, this is our budget, and it's broken down. This is just sort of a visual display of it, broken down by our 8 service areas, and you'll see primarily we have the transit program, the rail program, and then several other smaller service areas. But this is essentially mirroring the way the General Assembly has set up our programs as far as appropriation expenditures. Total is for this year $689 million, which compared to last year, it is a slight decrease in the amount of expenditures, and you'll see that the decrease is primarily the public transit program, and that is once again the Virginia Beach Light Rail program being removed. There was about $40 million of expenditures planned for that project this year. Otherwise, it's relatively flat year over year. And on our operating budget, we do show an increase there. We're going from $13.4 million last year to $13.9 million. And we went to the General Assembly. I think we presented this to y'all several months back. But we needed to add some MEL to assist with managing the Atlantic Gateway project. And we got 4 MEL added. And we also were able to get, and this slide details it, we were able to take, basically the General Assembly allows us to take 3.5% of state revenues to utilize to manage our funding. And we were able to take the IPROC fund, the Intercity Passenger Rail and Operating Fund, and bump that percentage up from 3.5% to 5% because it's the primary funding source, state funding source for the Atlantic Gateway project. And we felt because of that added oversight of that $500 million project, we could raise that percentage. And the General Assembly ended up agreeing with us. And this, in the previous presentation, this is what we're still finalizing, the $13.9 million, the exact detail of that 13.9.
And could I ask one question about
Sure.
the capital projects? When we go in and put a capital project on a corridor and the project is complete, does that asset transfer to our partner? And we just have a long-term operating agreement? How does that work?
Yeah, that's essentially, it becomes our partner, the transit property or the railroad's asset, and then we have an agreement that essentially requires them to utilize the asset for its life.
Questions? Go ahead.
I believe that's my last slide. Well, the last slide is taking the budget of $689 million and giving you a graphical depiction of how we pay for that, where the sources of funds are. And primarily, you'll see here, most of our funds flow through the Transportation Trust Fund, both on the rail and transit side. There, the bond funds are depicted again, and then we get federal funds of around 10%. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Questions? Well, that was a,
On transit,
yes.
Mr. Williams is heading up the committee to try to address the funding gap in transit. So when you make your proposal next month, does the proposal cover the full gap that we have?
For transit, yes. In fact, rather than looking at it as a revenue gap, what we're doing is we've gone and done a lot of work to determine what the actual needs are. And so we're taking the revenues that we will have and then projecting under a new allocation process what the state needs of funding will be. So I guess if that didn't make sense, we're not trying to just replace $110 million because that's the loss of revenue. We're trying to fill the needs gap.
The way that we did it, and you'll see this, we actually looked at a couple different needs scenarios. We looked at just, what if we were just funding stated good repair needs and no expansion projects at all? We then have what we call our base case, which actually includes some modest capacity expansion, but very, very modest, and just limited to projects that we're aware of that are kind of in the pipeline. And then we had another forecast, which was sort of a bigger forecast of what if we really wanted to grow a lot of revenues. But for the purpose of looking at new revenues, we've used that kind of the base case scenario, which just has some very modest capacity expansion on top of the state of good repair needs. So,
Questions? Thank you, sir. Well, that was a short meeting. It's my understanding that we will suspend the rest of our workshop until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, when we will begin back with the Julie Brown show. And I also am aware that we are to take a bus tour, we say at 1:30?
1:30.
We're meeting downstairs. The bus will be leaving from down here. Yes.
Quick orientation. Of course, you have the entry to the hotel over here that's on the downtown side where the railroad tracks are. Conference center entry to the back where the flagpole is, and that's where our Valley, Smart Way is written on the side of the bus. It's one of the Valley Metro buses that we'll be using thanks to the city and a DRPT-supported bus. So, but we'll meet back there, 1:30. It's by the flagpole at the conference entry side on Wells Avenue.
Yes. Yes, you can get casual. And then we come back here, I believe we'll have some downtime. The cocktail hour is at 6:30 at table 50 down on the Main Street area.
Down.
And dinner's at 7:30, 6:30 and 7:30.
Market Street.
On Market Street.
Right in the center of downtown, it's right on that main, you can see it's apartments.
If you get lost, just tell them you know Mr. Rosen.
Maybe suggest we assemble in the lobby around
Yeah.
6:15,
Yeah.
and then we can walk. I think we have some vans in case somebody needs a ride over, but it's walking distance.
Anything else? We'll stand suspended till tomorrow.
Leave stuff or?
yeah, we can.
Everyone leave stuff?
Yeah, we can leave some.
Okay, good.